A wave of glee and fierce amusement and anticipation flooded Liz's mind, as though her brain had sprung a catastrophic leak and someone else's thoughts were pouring in. Stupid question. She was making a weapon. 3 times is the charm. With the third impact, the bottle smashed on the hard tiles. The vinegar seeping into her lacerated skin made Liz's dulled nerves twitch and dance. But it was a dance with no real meaning to it, like that strange event she had seen once when she picked up Zack from his school's summer bop. A silent disco. She drove what was left of the bottle into the side of Mark's face as hard as she could. Mark gave a hoarse, startled grunt, flicking his head aside as though a fly or a moth had flown into his eye. Then he screamed out loud, reeling backward as he realized he was cut. His hands flew up to clutch his damaged cheek. Pieces of broken glass rained down onto the floor like melting icicles after a sudden thaw. Some of them had blood on them. Liz's stomach turned over when she saw that, but it was as though some part of her had missed the memo. Satisfaction and triumph rose, tingling like bubbles through her nausea and panic. That surge of alien emotion was terrifyingly intense. But in other ways, normal service was being resumed. Liz's arms dropped to the floor on either side of her as though whatever had just taken over her had flung them down when it was done. The prickling cold folded in on itself and receded back into some hidden gulf whose existence she had never suspected. Liz sucked in an agonizing sliver of breath, and then another. Her chest heaved and spasmed, but the sickness of realization filled her quicker than the urgent oxygen. Quicker even than the overpowering smell and taste of vinegar. What she had just done. But it was more like someone else had done, slipping inside her body and her mind and moving her like a puppet. She hadn't willed this. She had only watched it, her nervous system dragged along in the wake of decisions made, instantly, enthusiastically, elsewhere. Liz tried to sit up. For a moment she couldn't move at all. It felt as if she had to fumble around inside herself to find where all her nerves attached. Her body was strange to her. Too solid and too slow, like a massive automaton controlled by levers and pulleys. Finally, she was able to roll over onto one elbow, her damaged hand pressed hard against her chest. She watched a ragged red halo form on the white cotton of her t-shirt as the blood soaked through, conforming sloppily and approximately to the outline of her fingers. A year-old memory surfaced. The time when Molly had painted around her hand for art homework, with much more exuberance than accuracy. Mark lunged at her again with a screamed obscenity, one hand groping for her throat, while the other was still clamped to his own cheek. But he didn't touch her. Didn't get close. Pete and Parvesh Sethi from the apartment upstairs were suddenly there on either side of him, coming out of nowhere to grab him and haul him back. For a few seconds, the 3 men were a threshing tangle of too many limbs in too many places, a puzzle picture. Then Pete and Parvesh put Mark down hard. Pete knelt across Mark's shoulders to pin his upper body to the ground face down, while Parvesh, sitting on his legs, took his phone out of his pocket to request, with astonishing calm, both a police visit and an ambulance. Mark was raving, calling them a couple of queer bastards, and promising that when he came back to finish what he'd started with Liz, he'd spend some time with them, too. "Lizzie," Parvesh shouted to her across the room, "are you all right? Talk to me." From the concern in his voice, she thought maybe he had asked her once already and she had missed it somehow in the general confusion. "I'm fine," she said. Her voice was a little slurred, her mouth as sluggish and unwilling as the rest of her. "Just cut my hand." But there was a lot more wrong with